30%. Let's just start with that number. What if I told you that number represents the absolutely staggering increase in heart attacks for Americans under the age of 45? Yeah, it's a shocking figure, and it demands an explanation.
So, what is going on here? Why are young people's hearts seemingly under attack? That is the central question we are tackling in this explainer. And as you're about to see, the answer, well, it's a lot more complicated than you might think.
Okay, let's dive right in. Our goal today is to uncover some of the modern, often invisible threats that are putting younger hearts at risk.
First off, it's so important to understand this isn't just some random blip on the radar. No way. The data shows that for people 40 and younger, heart attack rates have been climbing by 2% every single year for over a decade now. This is a sustained generational trend. Now, of course, the usual suspects are part of the story. Things like obesity and high blood pressure. They're definitely showing up much, much earlier in life. But they don't explain the whole picture, not even close. Today, we're looking beyond those classic culprits at some newer, less obvious threats. Statistics are one thing, but to really get what's happening, sometimes you have to zoom in on a single personal story. And this story, well, it makes these modern risks frighteningly clear. So imagine this scene. It's 3 a.m. A 17-year-old boy shows up in the emergency room with this excruciating chest pain. He's pale, he's sweating. It's a classic presentation. The doctors run an EKG, and what they see is undeniable. This kid is having a heart attack. So the team, they rush him to the lab to find and clear the blockage that has to be causing this, right? They do an angiogram, threading a camera into his heart. But what they find is nothing. Absolutely nothing. As you can see right here, his coronary arteries are completely clear. No plaque, no clots, no obstruction at all. So this is the million-dollar question, isn't it? If there's no blockage, what on earth could cause a heart attack in a 17-year-old? Well, the answer lies in some habits he wasn't exactly forthcoming about at first. He eventually admitted to a really heavy vaping habit and daily cannabis use. So here's the crucial point. Doctors believe this combination triggered what's called a transient coronary vasospasm. Think of it like a sudden, intense Charlie horse in a coronary artery. It just clamps down, cuts off blood flow long enough to damage the heart muscle. It's a heart attack, but without that classic plumbing problem. That case shows a pretty direct behavioral link. But what about the risks that are hidden in our everyday lives? Let's zoom back out and look at a massive study that connects a really widespread modern habit, our diet, to this disturbing trend.
Okay. What you're seeing here is a summary of the Melbourne Collaborative Cohort Study. It's this huge study from Australia that followed thousands of people for decades. Let's break down what they found.
The scale of this research is just incredible. They followed nearly 40,000 people for a median time of 25 years. This isn't just a small snapshot. This is a long, hard look at how lifelong habits affect our health. So the study focused on something called ultra-processed foods, or UPFs. And the definition here is key. We're not just talking about junk food. UPFs are industrial formulations. Think soft drinks, packaged snacks, pre-made meals, often full of substances you would never find in a home kitchen. And here it is, the study's bombshell finding. After adjusting for all the other factors like lifestyle and pre-existing conditions, the people who ate the most ultra-processed foods had a 19% higher risk of dying from cardiovascular disease. A really clear link between industrial processing and heart health.
All right, from the food we eat, let's go even deeper now, to a microscopic threat that's invading our bodies without us even knowing it.
We are talking about micro and nanoplastics. These are minuscule plastic particles from things like packaging, bottles, and synthetic fibers that just break down in the environment. We breathe them in our water, we eat them in our food, and the evidence is now showing that they can cross into our bloodstream and actually accumulate in our organs, including the heart itself. So how can a tiny piece of plastic harm something as powerful as your heart? Well, as you can see here, there are several ways. These particles can trigger body-wide inflammation, they can damage the delicate lining of our blood vessels, they can cause direct injury to the heart muscle, and they can even increase the risk of dangerous blood clots. It's really a multi-pronged attack on our cardiovascular system. So, a teenage vasospasm, processed foods, invisible plastics, I know, it all sounds pretty grim. But here's the most important takeaway from all of this research. This trend is reversible. You have the power to fight back. And here's the playbook. These are the most powerful tools you have. Staying active,
Eating whole foods, managing your weight, getting those regular checkups, avoiding smoking and vaping, that's a huge one, getting enough sleep, and managing your stress. These aren't just suggestions, they are direct countermeasures to the risks we've just talked about.
And that brings us to this really powerful final thought from Dr. David Rejichutko. The threats might be new and hidden, but our ability to protect ourselves is not. These are controllable issues. So the only question left is, which changes will you make today?